What is up, Lunker League? So, got quite a few questions about the rods and reels I use. So I'm gonna be going over my rods and reels, why I use them, and probably answer the question of why I have so many. First of all, I do have a lot of rods and reels right here. I believe here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. So right now I have 11 of my rods and reels, many of which you've seen frequently in my videos. I have quite a few others as well. One of the main reasons is I am working on becoming a tournament fisherman. So having just a few rods and reels would mean I would need to be tying up a lot more, and to me that's a waste of time on the water, just to be honest. I get limited time when I'm out, so what I like to do is to get to an area, throw out several things and see what's working, locate that bite quickly. And I found that comes a lot easier when I don't have to stop and retie and hope that's it. I can go to an area, have a wide range of things from the top, the middle, to the bottom that I can throw, at least get a bite or a strike and be able to narrow it down, whether it's going to be in one of those ranges, and then be able to work on size and color. So that's the main thing. When I'm out there, I take it as I am practicing for tournament fishing. And that's what I see when I'm out there. In addition to that, what I also thought about is that's why most of my rods and reels are within from the $50 to $150 range. I don't have anything that's terribly expensive, save one or two items that I managed to get on sale or just wanted. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So my basic, of course, one of the basic rods that I have is gonna be 7-foot medium heavy. Everyone should have a basic 7-foot medium heavy. My 7-foot medium heavy of choice that I use most often is going to be, all right, let me rephrase that. My jig rod is a 7-foot medium heavy. On this one, I do throw a swim jig at times. Generally, I throw a traditional jig, a football jig, a pitching jig on this setup. Reason being, this is a 7-foot heavy. It is an extra fast PAL Inferno. This rod has been discontinued. Now they have the diesel out. The difference between the Inferno and the diesel, as far as I know, is that the Inferno has a warranty and the new diesels do not. This rod is fantastic to me because when it comes to the jig, with the tip, I want a little tip where I can throw it out there, but I want to be able to distinguish between rock, grass, wood, and an actual strike. And with this tip being just a little bit firmer than some of my other 7-foot rods, I find that I can distinguish, especially in cover, whether I'm getting a bite or not. I have this paired with one of my favorite reels. This is a Lose. This is a Tournament MP. This one is, I think this one is a fast one too. This reel here, 10-to-1 reel, and I believe it's an 8 1-to-1. So picks up line really quick. Allows me to give the most natural presentation, but pull that fish right out of the cover when I need to. One of my favorite rods is this 7-foot heavy iRod fiber. I love this rod. It has an amazing tip on it, an amazing tip. Look at that. That tip bouncing around, and it's a heavy. But what I found out is it performs more like a medium heavy. These rods aren't a true stiff heavy such as the PAL heavy that I have. So what it allows me to do is I can fling the Senko out there. This is my Senko rod. Weightless Senko, I can fling it out there. It has good give on the tip and enough backbone to bring them in. I have this one paired with the Lew's LFS. This is basic LFS. This is a 7.5 to 1, so a medium retrieve, so that I have some diversity in what I can do. It's not super fast, but it's not slow, so I can use it for a wide variety of techniques. But I have settled in on this being mainly my Cinco and light lure rod. One of the best rods. Both of these, the iRod Fiber and my PAL Inferno, were 99. The diesel now, without the warranty, I believe it's 89, but you're gonna have to go ahead and check. Those prices have been fluctuating on Tackle Warehouse in terms of a lot of the gear I've bought, so I'm gonna tell you what I got them at as I can remember. So excellent rod, light, very light. I think this one is just a little bit lighter than my diesel rod. Also paired great with the Lew's. I've come to find out that I really enjoy Lew's reels when it comes to these techniques. Jig, Cinco, what I would consider power finesse techniques in a sense, where I'm not necessarily cranking and winding, which is the traditional power, but I'm throwing in the brush. I'm throwing into thick areas where you do need to power those fish out, horse fish out. And both these do a great job at doing that. So this is my Cinco rod. Love this rod. The next one, on to the next, on to the next. This next rod just completely creeped up on me. I decided to go ahead and give it a shot. I have experience with other Lew's rods, and to be honest, it was kind of iffy for me. But what I did discover is that all the different Lew's rods, they're made out of different materials entirely. Some from the IM7 to HVC to high modulus fiber. So long story short, this is a TP1 black. Different from your traditional TP1, which is white and is an IM7 blank. So this is a much stiffer blank. This is a 7.4 heavy. This is my light flipping and pitching stick when I am in between, say, or less than a half ounce or less. This is my go-to rod. Love this rod. You see me put in a lot of work with this rod. It completely grew on me. Sorry about how my umbrella's going here. It's wilding out. I had a beautiful scene set up with all my rods, and then the wind came. So that's why they're all piled up back here, because they already hit the ground. Wiped my tears off and got back into the video. So great thing about this rod, a lot of power. It's light too, very light. I have it paired here with another LFS. I think these are great reels. For $99, you get an aluminum frame. This one is also a 7.5 to 1. I'm not really ripping them out, but it does a great job. So not a high speed reel, but a great reel, great matchup. It has good balance. And for me, it really gets the job done. I have 17-pound test. I didn't say that on the other ones. Most of these that I'm running here right now typically have 15 pounds or higher. As you've seen in my videos, I run places with a lot of cover. It gives me a lot more confidence. I know other people say, you know, just adjust your drag. That's been something that's terribly tricky for me. Broken off a lot of great fish since I've upped my line in these areas with brush, with a lot of grass, a lot of heavy cover. I've had a lot more success. So this is a 17-pound line here. Never mind this. This doesn't count right now. Who cares about what's on there? Like I said, I run a half an ounce to less, maybe up to 5/8, maybe. This is a great one for me here, this light flip. This is my square bill rod. Mainly run square bills. I may run a mid diver, maybe. I normally keep a square bill on here. Either this red one by Ish, which is great on the Delta, or Strike King 1.5 up to 2.5 with this rod. This is a 7-foot medium heavy And this is a Dobbins Fury, the 705 crankbait rod. Love this rod. It's incredibly sensitive, stiff enough to where I can yank it out of the grass if I need to. When it comes to cranking with the square bills though, this is the one rod out of the ones that I use most often that is 12. I have it matched up with the SLX DC. This one here is, I think, 6:3 to 1. So the slower cranking speed, although you can definitely get away with having the 7. I believe that the 7, now in my experience, can give you a lot more diversity. If you're on the boat and you're not the one regulating the speed and somebody's moving at a high pace, it can be difficult at times to work this reel depending on what's going on. But love this reel. Out of the SLX line, I have all of them except for the 70. I am looking to get the 70 at some point, but I have the basic SLX. I have the SLX XT. That's on a specialty crank rod, and I'll get into more of my specialty rods that break out on only certain occasions when I'm doing specialty things. So I'll get into those a little bit later, but as a general purpose cranking rod, cannot go wrong with this rod. They have crankbaits, jerkbaits. I've done some jerkbaiting with it. The lipless, it also handles the LV 500s as well. So I will go lipless at times, but mainly it's a crankbait rod. Next up is my chatterbait rod. So chatterbait at times, spinnerbait, but where this one shines for me is with the chatterbait, even with the traditional chatterbait. I haven't really got into the jackhammers yet. I've heard they're awesome. I've had a custom, I think that's the mid-range one if I'm not saying it correctly, the $9 one. I generally run the basic model of the chatterbait, and even with that basic model, this pal here is a 7.3 heavy. I like these heavier rods, but I believe this is not necessarily a true heavy. It has good give, it has a great tip, and you feel this chatterbait, even with fluoro. Of course I have on the 15 with this, but you feel it pumping the whole time. If you get anything on this chatterbait and it stops, you know it instantly. I have it paired with a, this is a Lew's Mark Crush, 7.5 to 1. Nice reel, really nice reel. The favorite thing about this is these grips here. Can't go wrong with those grips. I'll get into more. If you want to know specifically about my reels and what I have and why and the differences between the different Lew's that I have and the different reels I have, go ahead and leave a comment below. But I believe more of what you should be concerned about in this case, I'm running a chatterbait, so I have that 7.5. It is a mid-range reel, meaning that it does about 30 inches per turn. That's mid-range. Lower than that, you're getting into 26, 25, regardless of whether they say 6.3, 6.1. Mid-range is anywhere, I believe, from about 29 inches to 31 inches. High speed, you're 33 and above. That's generally how it works out. So good mid-range, easy to crank. You don't have to work too hard. It's also a very light setup, even though it's got 3 inches more on it than my other PAL Inferno. If I didn't say it before, it's a PAL Inferno 7.3 heavy. Next up, this is my Buzzbait setup. This rod is one of the first rods I had from iRod, the Genesis 2. First I got the fiber, and then when I went back to the store to get another fiber, they didn't have one. So I bit the bullet and got the Genesis 2. Fell in love even more with iRods. Fantastic rods. These are some of my favorite rods. Incredibly light, incredibly light. To be 7.3, it is definitely lighter than my PAL rod by far, and they're matched with similar setups. So this is a Mach 2. So you can see, like on my PAL, I have a Mach Crush. So similar weight, but this one turns out to be a much lighter setup. This is a stone cold spook and trap rod. So great give in the tip. This has more of a slow or a medium fast to it, maybe more of a parabolic as people like to say. So even though I'm running braid, because this is a top water, it's not unforgiving. There's a lot of good give in the tip. So my hookup ratios are awesome with this. I don't miss fish unless they just can't bite it. I mean, I've seen a couple of little guys that just could not get their mouth around the bait. Other than that, excellent rod. This is a 7.5 to 1 again, so it doesn't take a lot of work to get this clacker up and keep it up. With a little bit longer rod than the 7, which is why I run the 7.3. When I hold that rod tip up, it's really easy to keep it out of the water. I keep all my reels right-handed, right-hand retrieve, because I'm a natural left-hander. So this has always worked out for me, that I get to cast and reel and always keep my rod in the same hand. So magically that worked out for me, being left-handed. I'm not sure why right-handers all these years want to cast with their right, switch over in the middle, hope they don't get bit, and then start reeling. So my introduction to bait casters, even though it was just 4 years ago, was a really smooth transition because I was already casting with my left hand. But besides that, excellent reel, light, nice forgiving tip. So can't go wrong. If you're looking for a buzzbait setup, this would be it. You could also go with just a straight LFS, but these grips are amazing. I really like these grips. Not necessarily sure if I would go ahead and just pay the extra 30 for that. In addition to that, this has a graphite frame as opposed to the LFS having an aluminum frame. So just things to think about when you're setting up your arsenal. This rod here, these run about $149, my Genesis 2s. I believe they're worth every bit of the money. These are some of the more expensive rods that I own, but I would buy these again. I love all these, and I would actually switch to all of these if I could. Woo! I love the frog. And my favorite setup so far in frogging, I've tried multiple rods. As I go through and show you my basic setups, I also have several other rods that I use for different reasons that I'll go through in later videos. But I've tried, oh boy, upwards of like 7-8 rods to figure out which rod I would love to be my frog rod. And this setup is amazing to me. This is a PAL Endurance. It is also a 7.3, but it is a 7.3 mag medium heavy. Not quite a heavy, not quite just a beast, but what that allows is the range on this is 1/4 ounce to 2 ounces. So you could punch with this rod if you needed to. It's that flexible, but that tip allows you to fling like these smaller frogs out there, in addition to your regular size spros or whatever it is you're using. You can go from small to large. The tip allows me to walk any of these frogs with ease, because that's what I was concerned with, having enough backbone to set that hook to pull them out of cover. But then sometimes you have a broomstick, and it's so hard to make that bait look natural and to make that walking easy, to vary your walking, fast, slow. This rod does it. I love it. PAL Endurance. This rod ranks up there with the Genesis 2 rods. I believe it's $149. Got it off Tackle Warehouse. I have it paired with just a basic SLX. This is the faster SLX. It's an 8.1 because definitely you got to hook them. And if you don't hook them right, but you can reel them in fast enough and get them on short, it counts. So that's what this is all about. High speed SLX paired with the PAL Endurance 50. You know, I don't have really any other braid heavier than 50. I probably should. One day I may get my heart broken because I haven't gone heavier. But 50 is what I've had, 50 is what I've used. This rod personally, I've gotten my second largest fish on, and that was 6 pounds, 10 ounces. My PB, 7 pounds, 11 ounces. So second largest fish. Handled it like a champ, pulled it right through the cover, set the hook easy. And what I like about this, because of the tip, is when I set that hook, it sets the hook. It doesn't rip and make a hole. I don't have to worry about oversetting the hook if the fish is fighting too much. This tip gives enough to where that hook stays set and you can get them to the boat or the bank. Again, the SLX, I believe, is $99. Between this and the the LFS. So between the SLX Shimano and the LFS Lose, it's a hard matchup. But with this, when it comes to the frog, you know, you throw and then you're working it back. You throw it out and you're working it back. Don't have much problem. The only thing I use it for is frogs, period. So I don't have much adjustment, which is why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's centrifugal. I don't have much adjustment. Where I love Lose is when it comes to almost everything else. If I'm just cranking, these reels are super smooth. They have a metallic frame as well, so match up against the Lose LFS perfectly. They both have a nice long handle. The LFS is gonna have more drag. For some reason, Shimano's don't have the same amount of drag. They always run a little bit heavier, it feels like, with the Lose. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe the Lose that I have, they all have a little bit heavier drag than this SLX. But the difference when you chuck and you're winding, so when it comes to my cranking systems, Shimano, definitely the way to go. When I need to make adjustments quickly, I'm going from 3/8 to a half or to 5/16 or to a quarter. The Lose, it shines. It shines. I can make my adjustment here on the tension knob. I can make my adjustments here on the magnetic braking, and it just gives me a little bit more control when I'm doing those power finesse techniques, jig, Texas rig, Cinco. This is a specialty rod used only for one particular technique, and that's punching. But because I love punching, I use this rod a lot. I know you haven't seen it in many videos. Lately. I've been trying to punch. I've been getting out there on the Delta with those that like to punch. Not many people that I go to the Delta with honestly just like to punch. That's something second to frogging. I would punch and frog if I only had 2 techniques I could do for the rest of my life. Punch, frog. I would dig them out of the cover and I would take them off the top. Absolutely love it. So with this rod here, this is an Enigma HTP. I actually used to be pro staff for them and got this rod at a pretty reasonable rate. I believe now that these rods are about $120. You'll have to check Tackle Warehouse or go to their exact website. I have it paired with an old Enigma reel. I believe this reel is discontinued at this time. They do have their other reels that look pretty much exactly like this, but they're like 120 or something. I use these reels because I have them. Now, this is a 7.6. I believe this is extra heavy. It's extra heavy. It's a moderate fast action, which is very important when it comes to an extremely stiff rod, to make sure that you distribute the weight all the way through the blank, so that if somehow when you're pulling that fish through the cover, that if you let up at any point, it doesn't just straighten out and you lose the fish. So I've caught my largest punch fish on this rod, about 4 or so pounds. I'm still looking for that Delta double digit or upwards of 8 pounds or more to break my PB. I think I can do that punching, and that's been my dream. Here I have on I think it's a pretty cheap braid, to be honest, but I've had it for a long time. It's not my traditional Power Pro braid. It's something cheap I picked up, but I think it's a 4-strand. It's a little bit, it's not as smooth, but it saws through stuff, no problem. Made some cool catches with this. This one has a range of, see here, 1/2 ounce to 3 ounces. So that's why I keep this one around. I've been looking to replace it. It is a fairly light rod, but was looking for something just a little bit longer, just to stay in the true tradition, quote unquote, of punching, where you have a little bit longer rod, which gives you a better angle per se, especially when you're pulling them out of the junk. A little bit more control on the flipping and pitching when you're doing that. I've noticed that with longer rods. So this is one you've seen quite a bit on Delta with me, and you may see it from time to time if I do need to go at this point heavier than an ounce and a half. This one is going to be semi-retired and possibly on sale. So something you're interested in, let me see what you got in the comments. This rod is my new punching rod. So you haven't seen this one yet, but I had to show it to you. Why? Because I love the Genesis 2 series. The Genesis 2 series is amazing. This is a traditional punching stick. It is a 711 heavy. 711 heavy, rated from 1/2 ounce to 2 ounces. So I like to stay within, I'll probably be running like 1.25 ounces on this one for the most part. And if I need to go heavier, I'll break down and use my old punching stick. But right off the bat, this is a Bubba's punch rod. I've been staring at this rod on a nightly basis on Tackle Warehouse for months, and I just, that 150.49 mark, as much as I love these rods, again, like I was saying, that's as high as I like to go. I just have a philosophy about that, and I'll get into that when I wrap up. But 711, lighter than my other punch rod. Lighter, I've hooked a fish on it, not one too worthy of note, but it handled remarkable. I can flip stuff out there remarkably. Went lighter because I just wanted to catch any fish I could on it, but I can't wait to get out there and just yank something huge. Currently, right now, I have an Enigma torch on here. Reason being is it's got very high speed, 33.9 inches per turn, and speed spool bearings. Although I am looking to change this reel, probably gonna go with a lose once I get the opportunity and the money. So again, in the comments, if you like anything you see when it comes to the reels I've mentioned. The other setups, they're set up, they're staying. My Enigma stuff, I am looking to sell or can talk about. So let me know on that note, but wanted to show you this one briefly because this is what's going to replace my previous punch rod. Spinning rods. I have an equal amount of spinning rods as well, but video is getting long at this point, and the point of this video is my most common rods. Most common rods I use, and you see me using, is this setup here. This is a 7-foot medium heavy. I know a lot of people, they go lighter, they go a medium light, they go a medium. Again, when I'm fishing cover and I really need to pull these fish out, I go with the medium heavy. This is just like any one of my medium heavies and some of my heavies. It goes from a 1/4 ounce to an ounce, so it's got backbone. Many of the times I am running a Texas rig style drop shot through cover, so I need to be able to pull, one, make the hook set, and two, pull that fish out, even though it's considered a finesse technique. I have that paired here with a Daiwa Exceller. And like I said, I'm gonna get more into these. Definitely leave your questions in the comments. I have a couple of ideas, theories, as I have several spinning reels, and I really like these because this rod here This is an Akuma Helios that I just happened to luck up on. I saw it on sale for $99 and I bought it. I loved it. I wanted to buy another one, and turned out to be one of my more expensive reels. Retail, this is $179, and it's worth every bit of it. I just don't want to pay that much. This one here, I run 15 on my braid, high visibility braid, and then I'll run a 10 on a general, a 12 if I know I'm going to be really heavy. Anything less than that, and I'd probably snap it on hook set, depending on where I'm fishing. But even with the 1/4 ounce, I still run lighter than that, 1/8 of an ounce. That's my favorite drop shot rig. So that's what I run. Incredibly light, 3.7 ounces. So don't be fooled by the name of other rods that claim to be light. I'm not gonna badmouth any rods, but there's rods that claim to be light, and then there's actually light rods. So check out the weight. Don't just let them tell you that they're incredibly light when they're not. This one is light, great backbone. I have Fuji guides on it, and it's caught me a lot of fish. This is a great reel. This is a really nice light reel compared to many other reels, which is why I went to the Daiwa. This is a 2500, but still has the same inches per turn as, say, same inches per turn as 3000 size. Same drag as a 3000 size with less weight. Just something to think about. Last rod I use a lot is Phoenix Maxim. This one surprisingly is a medium, but it is a 7.2 medium. What I like about this one, slightly lighter setup than my Akuma. This one rates from 1/8 of an ounce to 3/4 of an ounce, so I can still run extremely light. I could probably throw something a little bit lighter if I need to. So that one is more of my dedicated drop shot setup, whereas this one I do run multi-purpose. Here I have a drop shot. I was doing a 1/16, which is why I switched to this one, but then I went back to the 1/8. But can skip a little better with Syncos. If I want to go, say, wacky rig, if I want a Ned rig, open hook scenario, that's what this one is all about. A little bit more tip, a little bit longer for me to throw those lighter baits. I have this one paired with the Legalis. The Legalis is the reel that got me into the Daiwas in the first place. I bought it generally because of the price. It wasn't terribly expensive, but still offered me the same thing that I was seeing in some of the other spinning reels that I had. So went for it, loved it. Match it with this. This is an incredibly light system. Again, when people advertise being light or telling you they're light, this rod here is lighter than the Phoenix Feather. I've held a Phoenix Feather, and this Maxim is lighter. This combination is lighter than some of the people I know that have the Phoenix Feather matched with other style reels. So again, make sure you can get in there, get your hands on these, because that's what it comes down to. All right, Lunker League, so those are my basic setups. Few key points that I want to go over. Yes, I do carry a lot of rods. Allows me to have on several different styles of baits, so I can search and find fish quickly. Trying to go into a tournament style, so I do know that having just a few rods, if you're on the bank and you don't like to carry a lot of rods, I can understand that. That's why I showed you quite a wide variety from 7 foot to 7.3, of which are great multi-purpose rods. All of those can be multi-purpose rods, but as I get into different techniques, I like limber tips more for my moving baits, and I like little stiffer tip for Texas rigs and jigs, and when I'm getting into heavier cover. In addition to my spinning rods, again, I have that variation too as well, whether I'm rolling with an open hook type style or smaller, lighter baits, or whether I'm pulling, I want to use a finesse technique in some heavier cover. what you want, my main tip is don't let price fool you. Yes, there is a level of quality that you should look for, but I'll tell you what, David Dudley, FLW, 4-time AOL champion, one of the highest earners in the FLW tour, uses rods that are $78 that he designed in Walmart. Major League Fishing, Jacob Wheeler, he uses Duckett rods. Those rods are $139, and he's amazing. Go check their stats. He's one of the highest earners in Major League Fishing. So don't let people fool you into believing that money automatically equals quality. The last rod I showed you, I bought from a friend for half price, so I didn't pay the full price for that Genesis iRod. That doesn't mean it's not gonna perform. So find those deals, work by feel and what's gonna work for you. When it comes to the different grips, I'm not that particular, although I have come to find out that over time, doesn't matter the quality of the cork. I fish off the bank a lot, so when it comes to my cork setups, they get beat up more, just straight out. So if you're on the bank, EVA foam, wind grip, those type things might work out better for you if you're into the appearance. I'm definitely more into the performance, but when it comes to a grip, it still needs to be comfortable. So if your grips get beat up and rotted away, then that's something you'll have to look at for yourself when you're picking your rods and reels. But you definitely want to go by feel and how you like to work your lures that get you the most. That is the most important thing, because just as I explained to you, you can get out there with an $80 rod and make money. They actually make money, or $139, and those are two of the top earners in Bass Pro. Thanks for watching. If this is your first time here, I do want to continue this series. I want to get into a breakdown of bait casters, what they are, why I use them specifically for certain techniques, as opposed to spinning rods and reels and combos, and what I look for in both. Lunker League, I'm out.